Excuse me. Hey, I'm back. My exit video. I think I've made 10,000 steps to for all the prior walking I did today, but I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to have a look at that. But I'm coming up on the 4-mile mark here, and sun's going down, so I didn't think I'd be able to get in 6 miles before the sun went down here. You can try walking out here during the dark. I don't think there's a problem with it. I just don't have any flashlights or anything on me, really. Plus, there's all the deer that hang out during the evening in the park. That's not that big of a deal, but you can run into them if you're going around here at night and you don't have any lights on. So that's happened to me before, and I've been kicked by a deer, so that wasn't that great. But other than that, not a bad walk. Here's what the park looks like now. Some parts of Virginia look really nice, especially like these older colonial parts of Virginia. They have this part used to be called Warwick Town before it is what it is now, and now it's like a park slash farmers thing, along with a few other things, including there's like a septic center and a rec center over the hill in that direction over there. So it's really interesting. There's also, this part is cut off right now, probably because they're working on it or revamping the area, but there's also like docks where you can launch boats and stuff like that, like kayak and stuff like that. There's also trails along the river, which is in that direction. And it's the same here as what I'm trying to say for Warwick Town, or what this place was. It's also the same in Jamestown. So for example, if you go there, the old fort is up, the old church is up. You'll find crosses everywhere, because in that era they believed that Native Americans did stuff to the bodies of people that passed away or died. There's actually no evidence to show that was the case, but because of this belief, the colonists buried all their bodies in unmarked graves. So essentially the whole site is a burial site. So, you know, people turning up new things there all the time. But the point I'm trying to get to is that besides the old church and the old courthouse, which is gone, and the old fort, which still stands today, surprisingly enough, the main area of the town, where there was a town, the old fences are all up, but all the buildings are gone, and there's just like signs that state what was there. And it wouldn't be surprising to me if a lot of these other towns were in the same state. So there's a map, I think, here near the water. There's also a map of Jamestown, mapping all the towns in this area from back in that time, not just Jamestown and Warwick Town. And each major name had a town assigned to it. And there was the main colonies. So there's Hampton, Jamestown, and then I forget the name of the third colony. So there's like the main three, and then there are smaller settlements around it that are just as historic, that are also parks. So that's the kind of thing I'm getting. If you decide to come out here and view these historic areas, you're going to see the old settlements have been turned into parks here, and the grounds themselves are historic, and you can't do very much with them. You can't develop on them. That I actually inquired about that's illegal, so you can't do anything like that. But because they're like public lands, they're also parks, and you can go and visit them, except for like Jamestown. You have to pay a fee to get in there. I don't think there's a fee to go down to Hampton and visit that colony area over there. And it's going to be like a modern small town. And then further on down, there's going to be like wide open fields that are also park areas. And then moving further along from there, a lot of these areas were the sites of Civil War battles. So that means you can't doubly develop on them for anything, really. And if you go to, if you decide to go to Jamestown and learn about that place and learn about the people there and how they lived from year to year, you'll notice that the defenses that Robert E. Lee set up in the area, including the trenches, are still there. And it's very easy to figure out why some of the areas were dug in. You know, men were like laying there and just putting down rounds downfield. I don't know about the Hampton colony or that Hampton area where that park is. I haven't visited there that much. Like down the road from my house, like less than 60 feet, there was a site of a Civil War battle where the volunteers of the Newport News, I think they called them like the Newport News Buffaloes or something like that. They were all drafted, and then they were all subsequently wiped out by the North. And they took away the statue, and they took away a lot of that history, which doesn't do anyone any good, really. But you can still see pictures, and I took pictures of this too, but you can still probably see pictures of the Northern Army setting up shop in the old Warwick courthouse. And they set up one of those like rotational guns, and they would just put rounds downfield. And the pictures show, like back then, like maybe nobody knew any better, but you see Southern soldiers running over the hill into a volley of fire from an entrenched position from the old courthouse on a Warwick there, the old Warwick courthouse. So that's really interesting to see. Across the street from that, and only exactly 1940, there was the very first gas station there. You can go and see that building. That's an historic building. It's sealed off, but I doubt anything could be done with it because it's a historic building. Down the road, down Denby, there's also a historic windmill that has stood there since the beginning of the country. There was a Civil War battle fought there. They have signs telling the sides of both sides. And what I find interesting about all this history is how it looks now with like flat ground and development. It's not how it looked back then. Newport News is essentially a swamp that's been developed into a city. So you can see that when it starts to rain, like the water starts to creep up onto the roadways. And some parts of it are very boggy. So near the windmill, if you like step onto the ground, you'll start to sink into it. How people decided how and when and why to battle in terrain like that it's really beyond me. But they didn't have HVAC. They didn't have anything like that back then. Even in the very beginning, they didn't have anything. So this place gets ridiculously hot in the summer. I mean, ridiculously hot. And it's like a wet hot. I'm trying to remember the term for it. It's not like California, Arizona, where it's a dry hot. And gosh, how anybody had the will to survive out here, let alone fight a battle out here, is just kind of beyond me. Even surrounding Jamestown, there's very little fresh water. There's like the river and then the sea, and then around all of that there's a swamp there, and the water is filled with mercury, and it's just natural mercury. So when you look down at the water, it looks like glass and it looks poisonous. I'm sure nobody knew that back then, and it took a few people drinking the water for them to figure that out. But that's my exit video. I am going to start doing more walking in other parts of this area. Show people what that is like. There's still some buildings sitting in Jamestown, but they're like halfway up, halfway down. I think the real problem out there is the wild turkeys. If you get too close to them, they just chase you. Figured that out the hard way. With all that being said, I'll count my steps, and I will catch you guys in tomorrow morning's walk. Will hopefully be at 6 a.m. because it's starting to get hot around here. Take it easy. Keep up the fitness.